Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is a new week, a new day, same head cold. So I am not feeling 100% to be completely honest. And when I am not feeling great, my family used to actually make fried bologna sandwiches. I crave sandwiches when I'm not feeling well. So I am going to make a loaf of bread quickly. And I am actually going to try with all the little techniques that I have learned to up the amount of freshly milled flour that I'm using. So the ratio that I kind of landed on with freshly milled flour was, so the recipe calls for 460 grams of flour. And so what I was doing is 300 grams freshly milled flour and 160 grams of bread flour. And I want to change that, but when you start adding more freshly milled flour, you have to start adding more liquids, and that ratio I've been trying to figure out and then cooking it in the bread machine so it's not dense. That's a very difficult thing to do. That's why I add the 160 grams of bread flour. But today, I'm actually going to try to bump that up and do 360 grams of freshly milled flour and 100 grams of bread flour and see if I can just slowly work that ratio up and figure out the moisture content. So I was adding an extra 2 tablespoons of water when I was doing the 300 grams of 300 grams of freshly milled flour. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add 2 more tablespoons and just see what happens. This is all testing, so probably should have paid more attention in chemistry. So yeah, I'm gonna try that. And I'm also going to add, I don't do sourdough bread anymore. It really is just a preference because of the amount of work that goes into the sourdough bread. I'm glad I know how to make it, but honestly, having the bread machine just makes things so much more easy and convenient. But I don't want to lose my sourdough starter. So what I actually saw somebody do, and I'll be honest, I cannot remember who did it, but they use their sourdough discard in things when they bake them. And it still gives a little bit of the benefit without having to do the whole sourdough process. And I still add instant bread machine yeast. So I'm gonna add my sourdough starter to this also because to be completely honest, I almost lost her. I forgot to feed her. I wasn't sure if she was gonna revive, but she did. So I wanna make sure I keep her strong. So I'm gonna put some in here and refeed her again. So this is Ethel. She got a brand new bottle last week, trying to bring her back to life. And I just kind of eyeball it. I'm just gonna put about half of her in there, and then I'm going to, whatever I would have just naturally discarded is what I'm gonna put in here. Like I said, I'm not using it for the actual yeast activation. I'm just using it to get some of the benefits in the bread. She smells good. Oh yeah, she looks good. She's kind of thick. Probably should add a little bit more fluid to her. All right, so I'm just gonna put that in there. And then I'm just going to feed her and throw her back in the fridge in just a minute. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this up. As in all things, I will link the recipes below and kind of what I did differently. And I will bring you back to show you what this turned out to look like, what the crumb's like.
I don't know what I'm to do. I just miss you more than anything. It's way too quiet in the house. I'm just wasted on the couch. Guess I don't wanna feel anything. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye.
All right, so to feed my starter, all I do, and you're gonna hear the bread machine in the back, I'm sorry, but I add about 1/4 cup of water and then 1/3 cup of rye flour. I like the rye flour because I feel like it gives it a little bit more of a sour taste to it, but you can use all-purpose flour. In fact, I think you can use freshly milled flour, but you do want to make sure you're using filtered water to feed your starter. And this starter just came from King Arthur. My mom started it and then I got part of it. So you can definitely order starters offline, or you can, there's a lot of tutorials on how to make your own. I tried to make my own, it did not work, so we just bought one. She's a little over a year now. I think she's a little over a year old. So she's getting, you know, she's not 20 years old by any means, but she's doing good. And I go ahead and put Ethel right back in the fridge. Some people leave them out to activate. I just stick her right in there. She lasts a little longer. Basically putting it in the fridge just puts it to sleep, I guess you'd say. Like, it just activates slower. But since I only use it for discard, I don't mind it being slower, to be honest. That's less time I've got to feed her. So you can't really tell, but the entire top of this bread deflated, and I already ate the top. I should have taken a video of that, and I didn't even, honestly, after it happened and I tasted it, I was just like a little bit sad about it and didn't even think about it. But it like kind of concaved in and deflated. I think it had to do with maybe having too much yeast along with the sourdough. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research, but I think I'm gonna turn this into croutons and then try another loaf of bread. And just FYI, this has been sitting out a little while, so that's why it looks so hard. But other than that, the inside wasn't that bad. I just think it had too much yeast in it. So we'll see. And the reason I think it's too much yeast is because I went back and watched the video and I put 2 teaspoons instead of just 1 teaspoon. So I think that might be what's going on. That's another reason why I thought it might be the yeast. And my yeast is new, whereas my other yeast was old, so I could add a little extra, and I think it was just, I put too much of a fresh yeast in here. Okay, round 2, everything is exactly the same, except for I wasn't able to use discard. I was out of hard white wheat, so I have mostly soft white wheat and Spelt in this. And then also, I did not use as much yeast. I did like a nice 1 teaspoon, so a little extra, but basically 1 heaping teaspoon of yeast. So we'll see how this one turns out. I am happy to show that this one did not deflate. So I'm gonna take it out and let it cool, and then we'll cut into it and see what the crumb is like. Yeah, this one looks much nicer. It may have even started to deflate a little bit, where it may have overproofed a little bit. I don't know, but it's a pretty decent attempt. We'll see what the crumb looks like. I have to say I am super happy with how this turned out. The crumb is great. I think that's the right amount of liquid and the right amount of yeast. It's not dense, it's very soft. I mean, it's still whole wheat. It's not gonna be as soft as like all bread flour, but I think I'm getting pretty close to figuring out how to do the full, all freshly milled flour and make a really soft, nice loaf of bread in the bread machine. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, we're getting close.
So to be completely honest, I actually got pretty sick and was not able to film or do honestly many chores around the house or anything for a couple days. So I just worked on getting better, and then once I was feeling better, I decided that the best thing to do would be to clean the house and just kind of get everything back in order where I had, honestly just left it and didn't do anything while I rested and took my medicine and everything that comes with being sick. So what I decided to do was just to work in 20-minute increments. This is something I kind of do anyway. It's just how my brain tends to work. I like to break things up, especially when I'm sick though. Having that stop time helps me not go too far or to do too much or get too tired, but it also kind of gives me like an end point that I can push to. I just felt that if I could get the house somewhat clean, then that in itself was going to make me feel, just a little bit better. Also, it was time for me to clean my Berkey. Probably should have waited. That was quite exhausting. If you have a Berkey or a water filter like it, you know how difficult it is to clean. It is worth it, especially if you are not a fan of the water that, drinking the water out of your faucet, but it's difficult to clean. And for some wild reason, I thought it was a smart idea to clean it when I was not feeling my best. However, I did feel better once everything in the house was just disinfected and, quite frankly, just, cleaned up. Now, I do want to speak just a minute on the Berkey. I know there's been a lot of controversy right now about the Berkey and Berkey filters. I actually bought my Berkey years ago, and I've always been pretty happy with it. However, now that you cannot get the black filters anymore, I've been doing some research on the best filter to replace it. If anybody has any suggestions, if you've had to do the same thing and replace your black Berkey filters, what have you guys done? Please leave it in the comments below. I'm extremely interested. I know that Berkey has the alternative filters that they're selling. I think it's called the British Brookfield or Burkfield. And that's just the company that they're using on their site, and I may just go with that one. It looks like it got pretty good reviews from people who have tested it, on their channels and YouTube. But I'd love to know you guys' opinion if you've had to make that similar change. I also wanted to just briefly show you kind of how we decorate for Halloween. We like to do just some cute, fun stuff around the house. My lookers say pumpkin, stop pumpkins. They're fun things to use, and we do keep it on a little bit of a, I guess you'd say, spooky term. We, are not trying to celebrate Halloween in any way. We just like to keep things cutesy and fun, and my dad painted a lot of the pictures that you see, so I thought I would share if you were just interested in seeing some of the decor in my cute puppy. Okay, so yesterday I spent what energy I had after work cleaning and getting this kitchen where I could actually do something in it. And it did not leave me wanting to really cook. And I realized I need to do something kind of easy so that I can have some meals prepared for myself, while I'm recovering. So I decided that I was just gonna do a 1-pan chicken and veggie bake in the oven to help get me through the next couple days. And I did buy like a sauce, like a curry sauce. I kind of decided I just wanted to do some potatoes, some vegetables, and some curry chicken. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get it all together on a sheet pan, bake it up, and then I should have 3 or 4 meals to help get through the rest of this week for like lunches and things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and get that out, and I'm just gonna tell you quickly what I'm gonna do and kind of just get this going. Okay, so just to make things kind of easy on myself, I did get chicken tenderloins, so I don't have to mess with the chicken. I am not a big fan of working with raw meat, and honestly, since I wasn't feeling great, I just wasn't gonna do it. So I bought some chicken tenderloins so that all I have to do is put them in there, season them, and be done. I also bought really small potatoes, just gonna roast those whole. I did get regular carrots, so I did actually, take the skin off of these, and I'm gonna just rough chop these kind of thick and season them with the potatoes. The reason you could make this easier and get like a bag of carrots if you wanted to, I chose to do it this way because I've just heard so many things about carrots lately, and I just thought it's not that hard to take the skin off of carrots. I don't know, for me, when I'm not feeling well or if I have a lot of stress going on, I tend to lose my appetite. And so if I don't have stuff kind of made, it gets kind of hard for me to even want to do anything or even want to eat. So that's why I'm trying to prep some things, and that way I'll just have like, okay, just pull it out, eat something that's got some good hearty nutrients in it, and go about your day. Let me dry this off just a little bit so the oil and whatever seasoning I decide, which is not going to be a lot since I am going to do the curry sauce that I bought. It was just from a local Thai place. I just bought a little container of their curry sauce they make. It's so good. Like I can't imagine there being a recipe that is
better than it. So I just bought it. And then I'll pour it on the chicken. I also have asparagus, but I'm gonna put that in the oven at the last 20 minutes. So I'm gonna bake the chicken and the potatoes and the carrots at 400 for 40 minutes. And like I said, I'm gonna throw the asparagus in the last 20 minutes or so. And like I said, I mean, I'm not always like an advocate for spending the extra money, you know, for something you could do yourself, like, you know, cutting chicken breasts into chicken tenderloins or whatever. But sometimes that convenience is very nice to have. And I would love to be able to have like weeks of meals prepped, you know, in my freezer, but I live like in a smaller home and all I have is the one freezer, which is just half of my refrigerator. So I don't have the freezer space to make months worth of food or weeks worth of food or anything like that. So, you know, I'm just not able to do it quite, you know, like I would if I had an extra freezer or something like that. I'm just cutting some of the tendril things if I see them and I want to cut them off. Honestly, I'm probably not going to do any of that. I can take it off after it cooks. Okay, so for both of these, I'm just going to put, you know, a generous amount of avocado oil just to coat them really well. And I am going to put a piece of parchment paper on here just to help with cleanup. And then on my chicken, like I said, I'm just gonna add some of this lemon pepper. It's really just a simple spice. I like it a lot, but I think it just adds just a little something, but not overwhelming, especially if you are gonna be adding, you know, a sauce or something to it, but you don't want just like plain chicken. I really like having lemon pepper, I'm gonna add a little bit more, on hand. I think I'm gonna also add, I think you just say zatar, Z-A-T-A-R. I actually really like the spice. I just started using it. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of that also. Okay. Whoop. Run away. I don't know why I tend to be a messy cook. I just am not, I don't know. I don't try to be. I guess I just go like fast at things, and so you know, things tend to fly around and I make a mess. My mom's a messy cooker. My sister's a messy cooker also. Also, I think I'm gonna start a little series where we're gonna do like a versus and do like homemade versus box. So my sister went to Trader Joe's and bought all this pumpkin stuff, and we're gonna use some of it in some future videos, but she has a pumpkin bread that she really likes. It's just a little box pumpkin bread that she makes from Trader Joe's. And I was like, I make homemade pumpkin bread. And then she's like, but this one's so good. So I was like, you know what? That sounds like a test that we need to do. So thinking about starting a little series where we do like, where my sister or my mom or someone makes a box version of something, a brownie, a cake, you know, whatever, and then I'm gonna make a homemade version of it, and then we're gonna test it. I just think that sounds like so much fun. So we're gonna do it. All right, I'm just gonna get this mixed up and then get it in the oven. And like I said, we're gonna bake all this at 400 for about 40 minutes. The chicken needs to be 165 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside and the thick pieces, so I will test that. And then like I said, we'll put the asparagus in when there's about 20 minutes left. So just gonna get this mixed. I'll do the asparagus and we'll get this in the oven, and then my sick day meals will be prepped. Try to spread it out a little bit. I mean, it's not, you know, super necessary. When I put the asparagus in, I will probably flip everything. You know, just give it a decent little turn. Move some of these veggies more over here. It is crazy when you're sick how tired you get. All I've been doing is this little bit, and I'm like exhausted. All right, so once I rinse my asparagus thoroughly, if it has the band on it still, then what I do is cut it right in front of that band, and that way I have this just kind of together, not rolling anywhere, and you can
throw it in the freezer if you want to save it for some stock or whatever, you know, you want to do with it. But that's what I do. And then I cut that. That's my first grouping. And then, of course, just take the band off. And that is my second grouping. So that's what I do for my asparagus. I like the little pieces like this. If you like it whole, you can still just cut the bottom off. But I find that quite convenient than it like rolling all over the place. So for my asparagus, I'm just gonna do a little bit of avocado oil, and then I'm just gonna use some basil salt just to change up the flavor a little bit, but it doesn't, I think it'll all kind of go well together. I'm actually a big fan of flavored salts. I think it's a great way to, you know, add flavor. So I'm a big fan of flavored salts. My mom made this basil salt. However, you can buy flavored salts. I've actually seen them at places like TJ Maxx. I don't know if they're any good or anything like that. I have bought some like at some stores, and then I bought some at, what is the name? Let me look and see what the name of the flavored salts are that I got for Christmas like a year ago. Okay, so they're called Jacobson salt. I bought like a little pack years ago. This one's rosemary. They have the black garlic, black pepper, Pinot Noir, habanero, lemon zest. That one's probably pretty good. I've used like the Pinot Noir I used on a steak for like a finishing salt. We've used a lot of the black garlic, and they're small. They are like coarse finishing salts. So they're not necessarily something you'd want to flavor to cook with. They're more so like if you had avocado toast and you could sprinkle some of the black garlic salt on it. Or if you had, you know, your steak at the end, you could sprinkle some of the Pinot Noir salt. The rosemary salt, I made these like cheese Krispies and used rosemary salt at the end of it to finish it off. That was delicious. So it's just a neat way to add some flavor if you like things like that. Okay, so this is ready to go. That's the chicken and the potatoes and the carrots are already baking. I'm going to clean again if I can muster the energy to do that, and then get this in the oven, and then dinner will be ready. So this is the curry sauce that I bought. I just got it from a local Thai place. Like I said, I mean, you can buy this stuff at the grocery store. Maybe not this specific one, but you can buy sauces and stuff. And I'm all about making like your sauces for yourself or whatever, but sometimes I just want someone else to make it. And, you know, I cooked all this. It looks beautiful. And then I'm just going to drizzle some of this delicious curry sauce on my chicken, and I'm done. Easy breezy. And here are my prepared lunches or dinners, whatever I decide to use them for. It actually made more than I thought. Because this is probably gonna be like 2 meals, so this made a lot of food. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to end it here because, quite frankly, this week has been exhausting. So, yeah, I hope everyone is doing well and feeling well, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.